2, 1.
Okay. All right. Here, I'm ready to push the button here, Fred. 3, 2, 1. Oops, hold on. 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Weigh-In with Mike Parson.
What are you cackling at, fatty? Too much pie, that's your problem.
And Fred Slow.
Anybody want a peanut?
On demand 24/7 at weighinradio.com.
Interior crocodile alligator.
Fred, I'm very relieved to see you this morning. Thursday was a rough day for famous people, and you as the most famous guy in Woods River, Illinois, I was worried about you. I have to be honest, I was.
Hey, there was a strong possibility I was going to end up Farrah Fawcetted.
You know who was Farrah Fawcetted?
Who?
The ninth wonder of the world, China. Rest in peace.
Gosh. She was super Farrah Fawcetted.
Thursday morning, I woke up to the news, and I've got to say, Fred, I don't get affected by celebrities' deaths. I mean, it's sad from the standpoint that they're a human being and they've got loved ones, friends, and family. But for the most part, I don't get too emotional over celebrity deaths. The two that affected me the most, and I'm always surprised by which celebrity deaths affect me. The death of Uncle Phil from The Fresh Prince, James Avery, and the voice of Shredder. And I think we talked about this on our year-end show back in December. Stuart Scott. Those two deaths affected me a surprising amount. And I have to say, I was surprisingly bummed to hear about the death of China on Thursday morning.
That's part of your childhood. If we're going apples for apples, Stuart Scott had a gigantic impact on me. Also, Robin Williams. When Robin Williams passed, I felt that one. It was just, and maybe it was Hook. I'm not sure. It was an early connection I made in my life. Yeah, China passed away Wednesday at like 11:30. And the neatest, not neat, the creepiest thing about today's day and age is when someone passes, be it China, and we're about to get to Prince, their body is not cold yet before we find out about it.
You're right.
The way people pass and under whatever circumstance or whatever situation, and I can only think of well, that's not true. When I was a kid, I remember when Princess Di died, that I knew immediately because it was, there was a lot of coverage on it. But
breaking news, right?
Yeah, it's not like whenever I was younger and I would read in the paper the next day, Abe Vigoda dead, because it's not what it is now, and that's weird to me that we so instantaneously have that. You don't find out about John Lennon the next day in the paper anymore.
Well, I don't think it's weird. I mean, I think it's easily explainable how with Facebook and Twitter and all this, everything is instantaneous. I think the way people react is interesting. I mean, there's people who legit get upset, like somebody they know died, and then of course you get the backlash. You get the people who start shaming the folks who overreact to a celebrity's death, and then it's just another thing that we find to argue about. And it's sort of like, okay, well, fine. This person is getting extremely upset over Prince. Yes, they never met Prince. They don't know him personally, but they're acting like it's a family member of theirs, which to me seems bizarre. But I also think it's bizarre the way people get upset at the way other people react emotionally, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you can't. Grieving is very individualistic. You cannot tell anyone how to grieve. You cannot tell anyone who they should grieve for. With that said, there is and we talked about this with the Bomani Jones situation not long ago. It has to be altruistic. So you can't take Prince's death and use it to, I don't know, champion your own cause or your situation. And I feel like I've seen people do that. They're trying to build a stronger connection to the death of a celebrity than what actually existed there. Prince's death or any tragedy or national story or whatever, more than likely it does not reflect immediately onto you. But to try to turn that spotlight to yourself, a little bit of a weird, and there has to be a clinical diagnosis for it, but a little bit of a weird attention-grabbing move, in my opinion.
Yeah. Pretty much what you're saying is these people make it about themselves, and I'm sure the clinical term would be narcissistic personality disorder or something with
Right.
narcissism in it.
And tragedy, narcissistic tragedy, similarity, conceptual phasing.
The word martyr's probably thrown in there too,
Duh.
but the Latin word for martyrus, narcissistus, e pluribum
rainer.
disorder. Yeah, but you're right. That is very odd. But you know, we said we'd be getting to Prince in a second, and you know, Prince wasn't one that immediately bummed me out, but I have to say I was shocked, even though it comes out now that he allegedly was treated for an overdose and revived with one of those emergency shots that something starts with an N, but it's the shot that
Pulp Fiction.
Right. It's the shot that revives you if you overdose. And then what he did when he got out of the hospital is he threw another rager at his compound house. But I don't know. See, Prince, here's a few things that shocked me about Prince. Number one, he was 57. And number two, that he's straight. Because if you put a lineup in front of me, Fred,
Yeah.
with Neil Patrick Harris,
Yeah.
Prince, and three other random dudes, and
Anderson
Cooper, and said that one of these guys is gay, I would immediately point to Prince, and I would put money on that.
You could put 5 gay guys in Prince in a lineup, and you would miss on the 5 gay guys.
Now, Prince was known for his sexual
Flamboyancy.
right, his sexual liberalism, if that's a word, for his sexual liberation. How about that? So I'm pretty sure that he probably has done it, dude. But the amount of chicks that Prince has been with is staggering, and that may be his greatest legacy.
Well, and that's an impressive sentence, because if that's his greatest legacy, then what is Purple Rain?
Purple Rain. Well, it's a vehicle that allows people to pay tribute to him, because just about everything that's color could be changed, or anything with a light on it was changed to purple the night that he died.
Little Red Corvette, When Doves Cry, Kiss, Let's Go Crazy, 1999, I Would Die for You, and Raspberry Beret. All of those songs. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I don't know if you know this, Fred, but he also wrote Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You, because I've only read it about 10,000 times since he died.
I did not know. Those 8 songs that I named, though, are now 8 of the top 10 highest selling songs on iTunes right now.
Right. A celebrity death is like the greatest thing. It's a great career move, because anytime, especially if they're a musician, I remember not too long ago, Merle Haggard died. And, part of my job is I have to comb through the country music charts and the iTunes charts. And for about a week after he died, same thing. Top 10 downloads on iTunes.
The Prince estate is doing all right now. I'm not sure where it's going to end up or where it's going to go. I do think it's a bummer, because he was a unique dude. By the way, fun fact, learned this one earlier in the week, and you learn facts whenever people pass. Michael Jackson, Madonna, Prince, all born in the same year.
Well,
so kind of some revolutionaries there. But with that, unique sound, man. He did it differently than everyone else, and we've had this conversation before. Guys who do it differently first, and then you cause copycatters, you lead to people who want to emulate your style. You're a game changer, and Prince was a game changer.
And the Illuminati will kill you, much like a lot of the other conspiracy theories I've seen going around. But I said to myself, this doesn't make sense, because if there's one person who I would think would be in the Illuminati, it would be Prince. But then again, Prince is straight when I thought he was gay. So that's the mystique of Prince. Once you think you've got him figured out, he flips the script on you.
We talked about it on the Heavy Hitters earlier this week. Prince has arguably the first or second best halftime show of all time. Do you agree?
Yes. Well, off the top of my head, yes, but I would have to go back and watch the other halftime shows.
The 3 we came up with that were solid, it was me and Marcus Berger, who sat in for Matt Berger earlier this week. Thank you, Marcus, for doing that. You are a talent that is underutilized. With that said, the Prince performance in 2007, the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson knit slip in 2004, and then we had the Michael Jackson 1993 Heal the World We thought those were possibly the 3 best halftime performances of all time. Obviously, I'm not referencing when they had marching bands and Disney characters and
Right.
junk. I don't care about that. That stuff
Right.
doesn't.
Right. I've got to be honest. I haven't watched the Michael Jackson one, so like I said, I can't give you a great answer. I think Beyonce's first Super Bowl appearance, halftime appearance, was good. But like I said, I'd have to. But yeah, Prince's was sweet, especially when he broke into that random cover of the Foo Fighters. Because when you think of Prince, you think of 80s pop music, and he covered so many different genres and pulled them all off. And it really showed why he was so successful.
We only have but 1 or 2 minutes here, and I'm gonna do like everyone else on social media. I'm gonna introvert this one. You think anyone's gonna show up when I die, Mike? You think people will come out like they're gonna come out for Prince?
How tall are you?
6'6",
How much do you weigh?
about 300 pounds.
So you'll need at least 8 pallbearers.
All right, good point.
So
You're making
I would say at least 8 people will show up to your funeral.
it makes you yearn for impact a little bit, doesn't it? Makes you want to be able to, be part of people's lives or something.
It makes me yearn to live to be older than 57.
57's not the best run. All right, hold on. Prince, a good 57 years. I mean, he did it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I mean, we all got to go sometime. I think I might rather be obscure and live to 80. I mean, as long as I have like a decent middle of the road life, than to be as rich and successful as Prince and die at 57.
What's the name of the guy? Oh man, I'm not gonna come up with his name.
Sorry, hey Fred.
I'll get it on the comeback. Let me find it on the comeback. I'm gonna get it.
That's what I was thinking. You and me, Simpatico. It is the weigh-in, 590 The Fan, 590thefan.com, caveradiosports.com, pendulumpodcast.com, weighinradio.com. That's all of them, right, Fred?
Hey, great job.
We'll be right back. All right, cool.
Cool.
Oh,
I got it. Now I got it on the way back.
Okay, cool. So I had a couple of things left to wrap up about Prince, and then I think we can move on to the Conor McGregor situation. All right, so you want to bring us back here, Fred?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
These guys are like bad stand-up comics that you can't heckle.
WeighInRadio.com.
That's the name I was trying to come up with. John Cleese from Monty Python.
What about him?
John Cleese said one time, he said, if I hadn't got into comedy and joined Monty Python, I would have went to work every day. I would have developed a family. I would have 2 kids who love me. And then at the age of 60, I would have killed myself.
Well, we've said this many times on the show, Fred. I think that people who don't want to have kids, I think people give them an unnecessary hard time. I mean, it takes all kinds, right? There's some people who all they want is to have kids and have a family, and that's great. But I also have respect, and I would include you in this class right now, Fred. I also have respect for people who don't have kids when they don't want to have kids.
It's the best.
Because I know this is breaking new ground here, Fred, but having a kid, from what I heard, is the biggest commitment you'll ever make in your life. So if somebody says, I don't want to have kids, I'm going to believe them, because those are the people who should not be having kids.
Every single day is the best day of my life.
Right, and that will continue until either you have an oopsie baby or you die of a heart attack because you're so tall and large.
Ooh, just got my health insurance adjusted. My triglycerides a little high.
It's all right. Just take some green tea. It'll get that right down. But one final thought here on this the Prince death thing, and also Patton Oswalt. Did you hear that his wife died on the in her sleep unexpectedly on the night that his stand-up special was released on Netflix?
Oh, geez. No, I didn't know anything about that.
I mean, So I mean, pretty much. So this Netflix series that he puts out is probably going to be a very painful reminder of this time in his life. And just watch, it's going to become his most successful thing ever, and he's going to be cursed to have to relive it over and over and over. So that was a sort of celebrity death that bummed me out because, I'm married and I have a wife, and every time you see something like this happen, you empathize a little bit, and what a terrible thing to happen to him. But as soon as Prince died, MTV and a lot of radio stations, they dropped everything they did and just played Prince music over and over and over. And I guess somewhere on MTV, Fred, during the Prince music videos, they played a Will Smith, Fresh Prince, and DJ Jazzy Jeff video in there.
Okay.
And I've got to say, whenever a celebrity dies, there's a battle of memes. I saw a lot of good Prince death memes. There was the one where it says, if you draw a mustache on Rihanna, she looks just like Prince, so don't be sad. I think this was purposely done by MTV, because another thing people do after a celebrity dies is they post a picture of the wrong celebrity. So a lot of people in Detroit, they posted R.I.P. Prince and posted a picture of Prince Fielder. And I think that's what MTV was doing here to generate a little buzz. Because on one hand, I think people would be surprised at just how little oversight a lot of these big media companies have. So it's feasible that there was one person who flipped the wrong switch. But you would imagine that there is a series of checks and balances that go into making sure that mistakes like this don't happen. And I just don't buy that this was something done, quote unquote, on accident.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the gain is there. I always look for like a sum, and I don't know what it is. Attention, maybe MTV doesn't need that. It would have to be explained to me in full. I'm not following it because I don't get it, but that doesn't mean it's not right, because I'm not a very smart guy. I don't get everything.
Right. I mean, what's the old adage? There's no such thing as bad press. And I think that for a minute, people were talking about MTV all over the social media sphere. And I've got to say, Fred, you're right. I guess I don't see what the motive is here. I don't see what they have to gain other than people having MTV in their mouth for about 30 seconds. But I also have a hard time believing that a mistake that big could happen on accident at a company the size of MTV.
People do dumb things, man. And we didn't actually talk about going here, but let's go here just quickly.
Take me there, Fred.
Curt Schilling. So Curt Schilling says, I guess it would have been weeks ago. He says he posted a meme on his Facebook, the Facebook that he runs, not his ESPN one, his Facebook. Right. And it's
personal.
Picture, yeah, it's a picture of a man, and it's a weird looking dude, and he's got like a woman's wig on and a dress, and he's got like a crop top t-shirt with like holes in the chest cutouts for his man boobs to come out. And it says in big, bold Impact font, invented by John Impact in 1853.
Rest in peace.
Let him in to the restroom with your daughter, or else you're a narrow-minded, judgmental, unloving, racist bigot who needs to die. And then he put a personal quote underneath of it. Says, a man is a man no matter what they call themselves. I don't care what they are, who they sleep with. Men's room was designed for the penis. Women's not so much. Now you need the laws telling us differently. Pathetic. Okay. You want to believe something, you want to say that thing, and you want to be a hate-filled bigot, or you want to be an all-accepting, altruistic, loving whatever. I fully support both of those decisions. If you want to hate everyone on earth for any reason you want to hate them, I support that. If you want to love and accept everyone on earth for that any reason you want, I accept that. But you cannot go publicly and say stuff like this, Curt Schilling. You cannot make these kind of mistakes, MTV. You have to understand that in the platform you're in with your bosses or your situation, you got to do the right thing here. Like, don't put dumb stuff out there. Don't make these mistakes.
And you're right. The Curt Schilling thing Look, I've got to be honest, Fred. I'm still making up my opinion on the whole bathroom thing. I talk about it a lot on some of my other shows. I feel like there's some middle ground that we can find here that makes everyone comfortable. But the problem is nobody can talk and compromise. Everybody needs to have it their way or no way. And ESPN is a large media company, and their goal is to get the biggest amount of viewers on their product as possible. And when you do that, you can't be offending people. Now, I guess you can point to some contradictions between this and the Bomani Jones Cleveland Caucasian shirt, but ESPN ultimately had him zip that up. And there's a lot of people saying, oh, well, Curt Schilling was fired and people can't have an opinion anymore without being fired. Well, let's be honest. I think if Curt Schilling would have worded it, if Curt Schilling would have wrote something up in a respectful tone, I don't think he would have been in trouble. But let's be honest. The meme, he knew what he was doing with the meme, okay? And the meme was disrespectful to the transgender community and people who might disagree with his point of view. So I think you can agree, but you need to find that line where you respectfully disagree. Now, you know, if he was working for Fox News or he was working for Sean Hannity and they kind of deal in the business of divisiveness, it would have been appropriate. But he's working for ESPN, who sent out a memo at the beginning of the election season to try to keep things apolitical because you're trying to appeal to all kinds here. I think that's why ESPN took the action, because ESPN's like, look, this is a very volatile topic. It's dividing a lot of people around the country, and if you post this, you're hurting the brand, and people are going to stop. They're going to stop tuning in. So I think if Curt Schilling used a little tact and used a little respectfulness, none of this would have happened. But he knew what he was doing.
You think he wanted out? You think he wanted out of ESPN and he has something lined up? Because
no,
you go out this way, and this is and I'm sorry to cut you off, Mike. If you go out this way, and this is a cause, or these are the type of causes you want to champion because you're so passionate about your belief system in them, then you can use this as a martyr type situation to springboard to your next endeavor.
You know, and you're absolutely right about that, Fred. Just backtracking, I don't think he was trying to get fired, but I knew, but I do believe that he knew full well that what he posted was going to start a crap storm. I don't think he knew he'd get fired for it, but I think he knew what he posted was inflammatory. But you're absolutely right, you know, Fred, because now he can use, I call it the martyr hero complex, where somebody will post something that they know is inflammatory. Then once the backlash happens, they can go around saying, "What? I thought with the First Amendment." Well, the First Amendment only protects you from not going to jail. It doesn't protect you from backlash. And now he could he'll probably become a contributor to Fox News now, because here's Curt Schilling. All he was doing was speaking out for what he thought he was right, and he was fired by the liberal drive-bys at ESPN. And now he'll get a Fox News speaking gig. I'm sure that he'll be able to go around doing speaker events at these anti-LGBT conferences, and that's a very good point.
Bible thumping, gun toting, NASCAR loving, south of the Mason-Dixon. He knows exactly who he's talking to. I don't think he's a dumb guy, but I absolutely think that Curt Schilling is an idiot. You listen to The Weigh-In, 590 The Fan, 590thefan.com, Weigh-In Radio, Cave Radio Sports, Pendulum Podcast. We'll be back.
Fred, do you ever start with a point and then halfway through your point you forgot where you were going with it?
Yes.
That just happened to me.
Why?
I don't know if you noticed it, but after I said if you work for Fox News and you're in the business of divisiveness, and then I just totally forgot where the hell I was going with that.
The thing I don't do here that I do on my other show is I have a notepad where I hit bullet points. I don't know how I'm going to get to them, but these are my bullet points. And I don't do it with you because we have such a good chemistry.
Right.
But I need to do it.
Well, did you notice me getting lost and not making sense, or was it just me that noticed? Because if you didn't notice, I'm fine with that.
Well, I didn't notice at the time, but now you pointed out, I for certain will go back and listen.
Yeah.
And then I'll notice it that time no matter what.
Well, okay, as long as you didn't notice when it happened. Because halfway through, I'm like, crap, what did I want to say? And then I'm like, okay, I better come up with something vague here as an out and stop talking.
I didn't mean to go to Kurt Schilling. My mistake.
No, that was fine. That was fine.
Cool.
Look, yeah, no, I do not mind if we organically get to a point.
All right, where are we going now?
All right, Conor McGregor, and then if I can, Conor McGregor, and if I can tie it into us being a behind-the-scenes society, into the Birdman Charlemagne thing. You know who Charlemagne is, though, right?
Charlemagne?
Charlemagne the God?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I could tie those in, I will. If not, then we'll start with Conor McGregor and see where it goes. We're doing really good staying on time here, too. Okay, here we go.
I thought I went out from that segment really well.
Yeah, you did. Okay, so here we go. I'll bring us in. 3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
Thank you so much for saying what needed to be said.
WeighInRadio.com.
It's still real to me, damn it.
So, Fred, I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. And I probably have no problem admitting when I'm wrong, because I'm wrong so often, and I have a lot of practice at it. So I'm going to let you say something to me, and you probably won't know what I'm talking about till I explain it to you. But
Okay.
I'm gonna let you say, Fred. Go ahead and say, Mike, I told you so.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah, Fred?
I told you so.
Who do you think you are? No, you're right. Because we did a year-end recap back before we were on terrestrial here at 590 The Fan of 2015.
Yes.
And we were talking about, I don't know if we were talking about athlete of the year or personality of the year.
Sports personality of the year. I remember this vividly.
Right. And you brought up a guy who a lot of people hadn't heard of at the time, but now everyone has. One, Conor McGregor. And I remember telling you, I remember exactly what I told you, Fred. I said, Fred, you're full of beans because Conor McGregor, he isn't even the biggest name in his sport, which was Ronda Rousey at the time, even though her last fight was a loss. Well, now Conor McGregor he's not only the biggest name in UFC, he's probably the biggest name in sports next to LeBron James or Cam Newton. I guess you could find names of people who are, but he's up there. He is definitely up there right now. And
game recognizes game, Mike, and Conor McGregor, he gives it to you the way people absorb it right now. His sound bites are 15 seconds. His matches are 15 seconds. You can tune into Conor McGregor for 15 seconds. With that said, that's how people absorb entertainment. That's why he resonates so well, in my opinion, with guys who get their information from their cell phone. Well,
and you're absolutely right. And I think right now we are definitely in a behind-the-scenes society, right? Whenever we talk wrestling, I always say it's not about the match. The match is just a vehicle to drive the rest of what goes on behind the scenes. And I think UFC is becoming this way. And I don't think it's 100% by accident. Conor McGregor earlier this week, and you may be able to fill in any details I leave out, Fred. Conor McGregor, he was set to fight Nate Diaz, a rematch at UFC 200. When's UFC 200? Is it coming up still?
Yeah, this summer.
UFC 200 this summer. Well, it turns out that the match is now off because Conor McGregor, he didn't want to do any of the promotion or marketing this past week. I think he was supposed to fly from where he was training to Las Vegas and do some promo. And he said, I'm not doing it. And he probably figured that that people would let him, Dana White would let him, because he's the biggest name right now. Well, Dana White, as of the airing of the show, says, "Hey, guess what, Conor McGregor? I'm the boss. You're a great fighter. You're great for the sport. But if you're not going to do what I feel needs to be done to promote this event, you're out." And he kicked him off. And then Conor McGregor, how long did it take him to announce his retirement on Twitter after that?
Seconds. The thing about Conor McGregor, and you probably do this at your day job, you probably do with your wife, you probably do with your family. You don't ask for permission, you just do something and then ask for forgiveness.
Yep,
and I think that's what Conor McGregor was doing. He didn't tell me he wasn't going to come, he just wasn't going to go. But then I don't think Conor McGregor was going to ask for forgiveness. He just wasn't going to do it. The thing that's interesting about UFC fighters is every UFC fighter is an independent contractor. So as an independent contractor, you get to set your own terms of employment. In layman's terms, you write your own contract. So you write a contract. Dana White looks at that contract. He either accepts or rejects it. More than likely, he counters it. And every individual fighter ends up with an individual contract. So your rake off pay-per-view buys, your number of appearances, your keep filling in the blanks are all based off your negotiations. With that said, the only real blanket rule is you have to wear Reebok gear, because that Dana White writes it into everything because he has a deal with Reebok. With that said, Conor McGregor, and I was saying this on the heavy hitters this week, Conor McGregor is a prime fighter. Conor McGregor is a prime plus promoter. So he's arguably the best fighter in the world, and he's unarguably the best promoter in the world. His contract, and I haven't seen it, I don't know who has, is, in my opinion, not written in a way to where he is finding the financial or monetary success that he expected through promotion. So this is a way of taking promotion away from UFC and directing it towards himself for individual gain. Conor McGregor fights in $35 fight shorts, and he promotes in $1,200 suits. He knows what he's doing.
Well, and right now, at least, promotion of Conor McGregor is promotion of UFC. And Dana White, I guess he didn't budge when Conor McGregor announced his retirement on Twitter. So Conor McGregor promptly unretired. And you know what? I'm starting to see this, Fred. And UFC is growing by leaps and bounds. And UFC is growing by leaps and bounds based on their superstars. First, it was Ronda Rousey. And Ronda Rousey grew to prominence because, A, she dominated other women in the octagon. And she talked a lot of trash. A lot of what people know of Ronda Rousey isn't necessarily due to what happened during her fights. And that's what's happening with Conor McGregor now. And we're starting to see this sort of pro wrestling element where you're seeing you're seeing these personalities feud with each other. And you're wondering to yourself, okay, is this genuine, or is this being put on as a way to promote not only the fighters but the UFC?
Well, and it's to a point where it's so diluted. Because you don't know, you can have the conversation, and because you're having the conversation, you're fueling the fire that's already burning.
Right.
Everything about it works perfectly. It's like the NFL. The NFL plays once a week, and then we get 6 other days to talk about the NFL. They're doing the exact same thing here with UFC. 10 years ago, there was maybe 10 UFC matches a year, maybe. Right now, there will be 40 UFC matches this year. They've done it in a way to where it's basically weekly through Fight Card, through their deal with Fox, through their pay-per-views. And they get, not only are they performing 40 days a year or whatever, but they're giving you 300 other days a year to talk about those performances, be it in preparation or reaction. Their branding is through the roof. They're smart as they can be. And Nate Diaz, in my opinion, not a big enough opponent for Conor McGregor. You know who is a big enough opponent for Conor McGregor? Dana White.
Exactly. And it's how you build a brand now, Fred. You're not building a brand based on what happens, quote unquote, on the field, whether it's the gridiron, whether it's the octagon in UFC. You build a brand based on what happens off the field of play, whatever that field of play is. And I think that's that's what makes Conor McGregor right now so valuable to the UFC, because what Ronda Rousey was, she wasn't anymore after she lost in however many seconds to Holly Holm. And Holly Holm wasn't a big enough personality to carry that torch. But you know who is? Conor McGregor. And that's who we're talking about. And that's who the UFC needs. Now, if Conor McGregor falls off, hopefully, maybe there's someone waiting in the wings. But who knows? Dana White and Conor McGregor, they may just be Vince McMahon, Stone Cold Steve Austin right now. Nothing moves the needle more than somebody having a argument with their boss. And I'm kind of suspicious, Fred. I think that this might be a plant. But you know what? Who cares? It's like when someone comes up to you and says, these wrestling storylines are fake. Well, you know what? You know what's also fake? Grey's Anatomy. You know what else is also fake? The Walking Dead. But you tune in for it because you like the characters and you enjoy the storytelling of it.
We had we had Sean Wheelock on the Heavy Hitters earlier this week from Let's Get It On podcast, who does that with Big John McCarthy, who you've seen referee Rousey fights and McGregor. You've seen him at the top of the UFC card. By the way, if you're into UFC, check out Let's Get It On podcast.com. Those guys over at Lineup Media Group, they do a great job. So there's to those guys. But Sean Wheelock was saying, if you're the UFC, this is a big test for you because you've lost guys that were at the time deemed as big as Conor McGregor. I'm thinking like your Liddells and your Ortizes and your Hugheses and guys that moved on from the sport, Coutures, and the sport has only gotten bigger. Will the UFC bounce past this Conor McGregor shakeup, or will they allow him to show? Will they bend the knee to him and allow him to perform at his own? There's so much conversation and analysis that's going to go into this by the time, and I think it's the first week of July. By the time UFC 200 gets here, the stories won't be about the actual fights, and because the stories aren't about the actual fights, no one's going to care about the actual outcomes of the fights. It's going to be a win-win no matter what. And because they have 40 events a year, UFC 300 will be here in 2 years, and no one will even be talking about this.
I think what's going to happen, Fred, is there's going to be a lot of speculation whether Conor McGregor is just going to show up anyway, because that's going to be put out there. And during the main event, he's going to run in, hit somebody with a chair, give someone the middle fingers, slam a couple beers, and it's going to set up the main event for the next big UFC pay-per-view.
Do you remember when Kobayashi showed up at the Nathan's hot dog eating contest when he wasn't allowed to compete against Joey Chestnut, and Joey Chestnut ate 61 hot dogs in 10 minutes, and Kobayashi had to stand in the crowd and he made a scene and they escorted him out? Basically the same thing. Basically.
One of the all-time greatest moment in sport. It's the weigh-in, weighinradio.com.
Did you think we were going to have a Joey Chestnut reference today?
No, and to be honest with you, Fred, I don't know if you were serious or joking about that.
That's real. That happened. Kobayashi crashed the Nathan's hot dog eating contest because the United competitive food, whatever, he wouldn't sign the union card.
Wow. So he's a union buster.
I fucking hate him.
No, well, I think it worked because if it was true, it was a good story. And for those who have no idea if it's true, we think it might have been fake, and it might have just been a really funny joke by you. Okay, all right. So Uber, we'll do the Uber thing here, and then if we have time, we'll talk about the $20 bill.
No, I really go $20 bill. I haven't talked about that at all.
You want to start about the 20? Okay, you want to bring us in?
If we go Uber, we can say you can use the new $20 bill to tip.
Right. I think you can.
You're right. You got it right.
You can transition. You know what? If you want to do the 20, we'll do the 20. Then we can transition to Uber.
It'll go both ways. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. You go ahead and bring us in, and I'll just follow your lead. Also, I'm hungry, so I may not make any sense this segment. I'm going to try though. I'm going to focus.
Heather's making a tater tot casserole cheeseburger thing.
Did she get that off of Tasty or whatever?
I would assume.
Cool. All right. I'm gonna get a Big Mac after this on my way to work. 3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in
I wash myself with a rag on a stick.
WeighInRadio.com.
I would say undoubtedly, Mike, that I am the face of the weigh-in.
I would say so. I mean, I am. Some people would get offended by that, Fred, but there's no shame in being a coattail rider.
If you were the face, you were the face of the weigh-in, Mike. You were the face of the weigh-in, basically as long as anyone ever knew the weigh-in existed. And I now have become the face of the weigh-in, and there is an outrage about this.
There wouldn't be an outrage about it because you're a white guy.
Oh.
There wouldn't be. I do have to say, Fred, I am just amazed at people's ability to find controversy in everything.
Every single thing that has ever happened or will happen.
And we're talking about the $20 bill. And maybe I'm not that upset about Harriet Tubman replacing Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill because it's been so long since I've seen a $20 bill. Ask me the last time I saw a $20 bill, Fred.
I got one the other day, and it didn't look the way I remember $20 bills looking.
The last time I saw a $20 bill was in my 12th birthday card from my grandma.
Aww.
That's it. So is Andrew Jackson even still on the $20 bill? I have no idea. But it seems like people are up in arms. They are losing their mind at the fact that Harriet Tubman is going to be replacing Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill. And who cares? I mean, really, really, who cares? But people find a way to get upset about it. And, the stupidest, and I'm sorry, Fred, I'm ranting here. The stupidest meme that I've seen on the internet was posted by a guy who has the "Don't Tread on Me" snake around, it says "Don't tread on me," and it's a close-up picture of Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill that says, "No politically correct money. Keep Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill." Get a hobby, bro. Pick up Sudoku. Join a runner's club. I mean, I think that people are so bored, Fred, and we have it so great in this country that people sit around looking for things to make them angry.
I know a little bit about Harriet Tubman because I'm not like an uneducated clown.
Right.
I know a little bit about Andrew Jackson for the exact same reason. I feel like I could tell you Andrew Jackson was the 7th president. I feel like that might be true. I don't know where he was born. I don't know if he ever served in a military. Was he part of the Senate? I have no idea. I cannot tell you anything else except that he might have been the 7th president of the United States. And that might not be right. He could have been 6th or 8th.
Let me tell you what I know about Andrew Jackson, Fred. His name was Old Hickory because he was a major D-bag and everyone hated him. And he also tried to fight the ghost of a dead witch. Those are the only two things I know about Andrew Jackson. He might have owned slaves. He probably did.
You just described a Scooby-Doo episode.
No. There's this very famous witch named the Bell Witch. And
I'm dialed in on this. I'm loving every second of this. Keep going.
Yeah, Andrew, there's this Bell Witch. She hold on, let me make sure I remember. I want to say she's a
I don't want you to look it up. I want you to tell me what you remember.
Okay. From what I understand, there's a family of farmers from Kentucky called the Bells. Someone in the Bell family, the patriarch, he decided to tempt the supernatural. He pissed off this woman called the Bell Witch. He killed her. Word got around that she was terrorizing this family. Allegedly, she's the only ghost that has actually killed a human being. Word got to Andrew Jackson. He went down to the Bell farm in Kentucky or Tennessee, wherever they live, and his goal was to kill the Bell Witch. Well, the ghost of the Bell Witch, because obviously, if you're a ghost, you're already dead.
Right.
And I don't know if he was successful, but somewhere between then and now, he's on the $20 bill.
I didn't know that Andrew Egon Jackson, the 7th president of the United States, was also the most accomplished witch hunter in the history of the Carolinas. I didn't know that, Mike.
Well, I can't say that because I don't know if any other witch hunting seems like something Teddy Roosevelt would also do because he had a lot of rugged hobbies. But I do know that Andrew Jackson tried to kill the ghost of a witch.
Well, that's very Protestant of him. Did you know that Harriet Tubman, not an actual train conductor? Did you know that?
What? Thanks a lot, drive-by media.
Yeah. The Underground Railroad, as it turns out, not an actual railroad. It was a series of pit stops from the south to the north to free hundreds of slaves, possibly thousands of slaves from slavery. Argue in favor of slavery, and I will physically smack you in the mouth. Well, then, after freeing thousands of slaves as the quote-unquote conductor of the Underground Railroad, went on to be a champion of women's rights and suffrage and the right to vote before her passing in 1910 or whatever. I don't know when she died.
And that's what happens, Fred. You give women shoes and let them out of the kitchen. Before you know it, they're replacing our beloved presidents on the money. I mean, Fred, I've got to be honest, and I haven't looked up the numbers, but I would hypothesize that the majority of people who are upset about a black woman being on the $20 bill are probably Trump supporters. And Trump has gained his support because, you know, he tells it like it is, and everybody is so easily offended. Well, this crowd that is always complaining about people being so easily offended, they seem to be the same people losing their mind over the $20 bill.
I know we only have about a minute here. Trump has come so far left on so many things since it's got down to just him and Cruz. So, and we talked about earlier, but like this Carolina political bathroom thing, Trump's real liberal on this whole thing.
Right.
And Cruz is the one who's sticking to the only the guns he keeps on his right side.
Right.
Trump's,
none of those liberal guns.
No, none of those left-sided liberal guns.
He doesn't even wear shoes on his left feet.
Trump is going to end up winning this whole thing because he's far smarter than we all knew. He's going to come back to earth. Just watch out, man. We're all going to end up trumped.
Well, here's my thumbnail sketches. I've got a lot of Trump theories, Fred. A lot of Trump theories. My one theory, two of my theories on this bathroom thing. One, there's the theory going around that Trump never wanted to become president. He just wanted to troll Republicans. So he may be trying to throw the Republican nomination by coming out in support of bathroom choice, is what I call it. Or he knows he's got the Republican nomination wrapped up. So now he's running back towards the middle in hopes to, that's the wrong out, in hopes of actually winning the general election once he's nominated. So he went super far right to wrap up that nomination. Now that he feels like he's got that nomination wrapped up, he's moderating a little bit to appeal to everyone in the country because he's thinking of November already.
I don't like Cruz and I don't like Trump, but I sure as heck like Trump a lot more than I like Cruz.
Me too. And you know what? In my neighborhood, there's a lot of Bernie Sanders signs up. I'm not saying I'd vote for Bernie Sanders, but at this point, I'd rather live next door to someone with a Bernie Sanders yard sign than someone with a Donald Trump yard sign.
Hey, just everyone keep your yard nice. That's all we ask.
Just be nice, people. And listen to us next week because we're out of town. WayInRadio.com, 590 The Fan, 590thefan.com, PendulumPodcast.com, CaveRadioSports.com. Thanks for listening, Paul. Bye.
Good job, everyone. GG.
All right.